Hello, we are live. Welcome to the Women's Wisdom Circle. And I'm here with Deborah. Deborah has joined the room. We are expecting a few more people that will join us, hopefully in a few moments. Let me just introduce what we are doing here in our circle. This is referred to as the Women's Wisdom Circle, as we are attempting to listen in to our own guidance and learn to emerge what wants to emerge instead of following old patterns, old stories, the way things used to be done. And today is also the new moon. So it is a very powerful day to set intentions. It is also a solar eclipse in Pisces, which is also a very, oh, hello, we have somebody who has just clicked on the link. Okay. And we also have, hello Fiona, welcome Fiona in the UK, and Deborah is in Colorado, the US. Yes. So I was just saying that today is also International Women's Day. So it's to me, if I look back over my own week, last 2 weeks really, it seems that I have been in the old energies of what needs to be shifted. You know, like I was a rescuer, I was a controller, I was full of fears, I had all those ugly patterns that had not emerged in a while, because when I'm in France and being by myself, I am not triggered in all those old things. So that's what I was observing, and then really also noticing them in real time. So when you notice something in real time, you can do something about it. And hello, welcome, Aline. Aline is my homonym, same name, and Aline is in the UK. Thank you for joining us. So what I was saying is, when you notice the thought patterns and the outdated stuff, it's a powerful time to release and to bring in the new. And today, on International Women's Day, I will be very inspired to hear what you are wanting to bring through and emerge in our collective space. So perhaps we can do a short meditation before to help settle us into the collective space and into our own personal space, connecting inside, because the emergence is always something that comes from within, following our own guidance, you know, like whatever we are downloading, and we each have information that we are downloading, and then bringing that together in the co-creative space is a powerful way of listening into what wants to be present in the circle and in the world, because this is a little micro space where you know, and many people are doing this. And hello, Teresa.
Hi.
Teresa is in Texas, I believe, right? Teresa.
Yeah. I'm about to go hiking on the greenbelt.
Oh, wonderful! Oh, it's lovely weather in your
rain forecast, but it just cleared up, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to walk.
Right. All right.
While I listen.
All right. So, welcome. I'm going to mute you if you don't mind, because we're just going to do a little guided meditation. So if you want to sit down and join us on the meditation, that would be wonderful.
Okay. I will when I get to a place to sit.
All right.
Okay.
Mute you. Yeah. All right. Muted. All right, ladies. So let's just close your eyes for a moment, except Teresa, who is walking. So taking a few deep breaths. Deep breath in, really filling your whole body with that air and allowing a full exhale, releasing. If you, like me, have noticed any old patterns showing up or outdated thoughts, just use that moment of taking breath in and breath out to release what wants to leave, the old energies. So taking a few more deep breaths in. Fully exhaling, releasing. And taking another deep breath in. And this time, when you exhale, just take a moment to consciously connect to the earth. And as you keep on breathing at your normal pace, just imagine the breath bringing in the new and the out breath helping you release the old and the outdated. I was on a meditation during the last week where the imagery that was shared is just imagine pushing with the breath the old out, like, and imagining it like muddy water flowing through your feet into the earth, just really releasing that old gunk from our energy field. And with the in-breath, bringing in that new energy recycled from the earth, really allowing that transformation. Planet is here to help us transform. So just taking another deep breath in and also connecting to the larger field of life all around us, and more specifically to the cosmic energies. Which are very heightened at this particular moment of the solar eclipse in Pisces. So allowing that guidance to really stream down into our body, to the top of our head, and really seeing that column of light moving through our body, connecting to the earth, from high up, from the sun and beyond, from the galaxy. Just allowing that connection to get anchored in our consciousness. We are always connected to the universe and to the earth. And taking a moment to now connect with your heart. And from that heart space, send out energy into our virtual circle, to the right hand, and allow it to come back to the left hand. So imagine that multidimensional connection below, above, and all around you. And using that space grounded and connected, to listen in to your heart, where your higher guidance whispers, and allow that voice of wisdom through each of us to be present in our circle. And when feeling called to share it, just presence yourself with your wisdom, your voice, the guidance you have for all of us, because we all have something to bring to that circle. This is a collective field that we are co-creating. So taking in one more breath, and as you exhale, gradually come back to the present moment in our virtual room. Taking another deep breath, and gradually coming back to normal consciousness. And connecting back with your body, your physical body, perhaps moving your head a little, wiggling your shoulders, fully being present, and when ready, open your eyes and come back to the virtual space. Hello, and welcoming Hayat in Finland. Hi, Hayat. All right. So, yes, perhaps wanting to elaborate a little bit on what my awareness has been. And we have lost Deborah. I don't know. She might have had some difficulties. She has left us. Okay, she might come back later. Just noticing that I'm missing somebody that was here previously. So what? And Vivian is joining us. Hello, welcome, Vivian. Vivian in California.
It took me all this time to get to you guys.
All right, welcome. We just completed our meditation, and we are beginning our sharing, our mutual sharing. And really, what I would like to invite is if you are feeling so called, is like to bring in whatever intentions for that International Women's Day you're bringing in. I mean, for me, it is really to bring in more love, because what I was sharing in the very first few minutes of our introduction before the meditation is that I have been very much aware of all my old thinking patterns of judgments, of being scared to be abused, scared to be taken advantage of, because I am living right now in my in-laws' house, and this is a huge house, and we're taking care of my mother-in-law. So all my patterns are being triggered in that process. And when I'm all by myself, I am very peaceful and I can pursue my objectives and my goals. And I was noticing how all those old patterns are still very present in consciousness, because obviously my consciousness is linked to consciousness. And I was thinking, my God, I've got to control this situation and do it fast so I can get on with my life. Haha, like if that would ever be possible, So I'm so glad for my awareness and for being able to notice things in real time now. It's been a long journey. And being able to make the adjustments of, first of all, expressing and keeping boundaries and then just keep on going, carrying on with what I would like to presence in this house, in this family, in this world, which is self-care is part of planetary care. And self-care starts with me being peaceful within myself. And if I'm in all these old patterns of the rescuer, the controller, I am not peaceful, and I am not contributing to shifting the world at all. So that was a huge a huge kind of awakening for me in the last 2 weeks, that those things are still present in my consciousness. And of course, they are present in the world still. I mean, this is really what we need to shift big time. So, so my intention is definitely now to keep my boundaries very tight and to accept imperfection around me, to accept that things are not cleaned the way they could be cleaned, and just to be blind to it, because I cannot be the caregiver of all. That is a pattern that I'm lying to rest. It's like rest in peace, old pattern, and welcome the new me. Who is going to be more compassionate to myself first, because I've noticed also the harshness of the judgments are first and foremost within myself, towards myself. So that's really what I'm going to be committing to work on, using that new moon energy and this powerful eclipse, to bring through. And hopefully you can remind me if in 2 weeks I share that something else has happened. Please remind me. You can hold me accountable. So, who feels called to share what's going on with each of you, and would like to presence? Vivian, you just raised your hand. Yes. Okay, go ahead. You're muted. Unmuted.
The reason I want to is because I have to leave earlier. I'm getting a lot of feedback from my own voice. Is that normal?
I don't hear the feedback. I don't hear it. Sometimes it stops after a few seconds.
Yeah,
just carry on.
So, so what I was hoping to invite into my life on this International Women's Day, which has great significance for me. When I lived in Canada, we actually celebrated it and got together in large circles of women and did some kind of ritual to bring in that International Women's Year and to make sure that women's rights were not being disregarded, that we would be able to express our individuality as women and so on. So for me, I would like to invite connection because I feel very isolated and disconnected here in the middle of the desert in California, and people here don't even know that it's International Women's Day, or what it means or anything like that locally. Anyways, it's a very paternal kind of situation here, where the men rule and the women follow. And it's still back in the old way of thinking, back in the Dark Ages, I have to say, that a woman is supposed to be barefoot in the kitchen, So it's very uncomfortable for me because I've evolved into so many different areas that this doesn't. Am I still on, Aline? Because I can't see you.
Okay.
So basically, I'm inviting connection in an honest way, in the sense that when I feel or when I sense that someone is judging me, or I feel in some way disregarded or misunderstood, I will now speak up and say, I'd like to address that if you don't mind, and I'd like to tell you how I feel right now, which is hurt, or I'm feeling something that is feeling uncomfortable within me, so that we can talk about it and resolve it right here, right now. And some people may not want to respond to that, and some people will choose to respond to that. But I found that in general, people are much more positive in responding to that, because I'm giving the irrefutable truth, in the sense that I'm telling them how I feel, not what they did to me or what they created in me. I'm talking about my feelings, taking responsibility for my feelings, and expressing how I would appreciate being better understood and acknowledged that way. So connection is really important, and I invite all the women in this group to also connect with me, and perhaps for the first time, perhaps. And I have to put a disclaimer in here. I don't go to Facebook often. I tend to not go to Facebook at all. So if you want to reach me, use Messenger on Facebook, or email me directly, and I would love to be able to respond to each one of you, even though I'm backlogged in email, and I will do my best to catch up. So thank you for this time, and thank you for listening, and I would like to be able to have a closer connection with all of you.
Thank you, Viviane. I really appreciate you expressing your needs, because that's really, we cannot guess what somebody else's need is if it's not clearly expressed. There's not a possibility of connection or either then, because then we are back in our head kind of interpreting what might have happened or not have happened, etc. And that's painful, and I know that one very well myself, so that has also been one of my practice in the last week, to express my needs and what I need to be able to survive in the situation that I'm in right now. Because situations are never ideal, and they change all the time. And so it's like, if we're waiting for the ideal situations to have an ideal world, it's not going to happen. We have to co-create that by knowing what we need and expressing that, and presencing ourselves with maybe our difference. We are not all the the traditional kind of cooks, like what you were sharing, that is still present in your area, like the patriarchal system, the women doing everything. Even though this pattern has come back for me in the last few weeks, I've noticed myself how easy it is for me to just kind of fall into such an old pattern, But when you have consciousness, you can shift and change. Yeah. So thank you, Viviane, and you can leave if you want to leave your email address in the chat, so that people can connect with you if they feel called to do so. Thank you, Viviane. Okay. Who would like to raise their hand? Just and unmute yourself. I'm going to mute Viviane now, so that the next one can. Deborah, are you? You need to unmute yourself, Deborah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay, great. All right. When you talked about releasing the old and bringing in the new, it really struck me, because I was reading an email this morning about restructuring how we present our whole social justice message, and reframing that from the old way to the new way. And it's something that I've been working on for a while, talking with people about some of the issues around abuse, and that's my area, so I talk about that a lot. But when we just keep saying, okay, well, we need to do everything the same way that we've always done it, what we end up getting is the same results. And I've been having conversations not only yesterday with you, Aline, and Sandra, but also with other people about how can we bring in a new system that's going to be much more supportive of what happens with children, what happens with adults, and how do we shift a well-entrenched patriarchal-based system into much more of a system that's in alignment with the needs of the people the system is supposed to serve. And so it's interesting how that's a thread that's starting to evolve just this week. And I just wanted to share that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and again, it's the needs, right? The needs of the people. Whether it's, it always starts with the needs, and we have this. The old system never really cared about the needs of women, or maybe even of men, because you were. I don't want to be judgmental there about men or women. Probably also not. Everybody had roles to play, and we had to kind of fit. We had to play the roles, and so the needs is again like that huge shift of becoming aware first of all of your needs, then daring to express them like Viviane shared before, and then collectively making them acceptable, that people, children, men, society, there are needs that need to be addressed. We cannot just carry on the old way that things have the patterns of the old are not sustainable. It's showing left, right, and center. So there is a new way, and that new way can only happen if we make that individual transformation and bring that awareness out into the collective, because it doesn't happen in the collective first and then into ourselves. It always happens first internally. And but the awareness, without awareness, we cannot make any transformation. So awareness, and when you have conversations with people, it kind of anchors in that awareness from different perspective. And from your sharing, like the impact it has from the in the cases that you are helping women with, on domestic violence and coercive control, the social justice needs to shift and have
Yes.
it needs to listen into the needs of the people and not the needs of how it used to be done. And what just comes up to me is like law usually refers back to a previous case, and the ruling of the judge kind of looks at the previous cases. Well, in that case, there need to be a talk in the judicial system. We perhaps need to address the laws and change the law, amend the law. And I know this is a field of law that exists, and my daughter is kind of in between bar exam right now, so I'm kind of a little bit in tune with those things, and she wants to work in that field, how to evolve the law to bring social justice, because that also is something that needs to be addressed.
Right. Thank you, Aline. I think you brought that full circle, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Who is joining the circle and would like to? Aline, yes, go ahead. Unmute yourself, Aline.
Hi everyone, happy Women's Day. Thank you, Aline, for setting this up and facilitating it. It's great to be able to be on with you all today. Yeah, I really enjoy this conversation, and what's coming up for me is this sense of, yes, it has to start internally, and I'm totally with you on that, and we can't evolve personally without being aware of the changes that we need to make. But what's on my mind a lot these days, and probably because I'm in Europe, and we have this massive refugee crisis going on. And just this morning, the EU has finished some talks with Turkey, because as you may know, Turkey is the country where most of them, that's the last land place they leave, and they get into a boat and try and make it across 3 or 4 miles of sea to Greece. This is very much in my awareness because I spent some of my family live on one of the islands, which is very close to Turkey, and I spent last summer there. I saw this firsthand, and yes, I know it's a massive issue, and I don't know if this is the right place, but this is what's coming through for me, so I'm just going to go with it. And this morning, there's an agreement has been reached between Turkey, the country of Turkey, and the EU, whereby they are going to send back they call them refugees actually because there's the thing about terminology. Do we call them economic migrants, refugees? There are different categories and so on. So the agreement that they've reached is to send back from Greece to Turkey many of these people who don't really have a right to be there. They're going to be sent back. And all these politicians on the television this morning were giving their view on it, and the ones that I saw anyhow, they're all saying, yes, we need to do this, we need to keep Europe's borders strong, and not anybody can just sort of come across. And I'm just sitting there in horror thinking, trying to put myself in the position of some of these refugee women that I've seen who've made this horrific journey with their children, who may have lost people on the sea crossing, and this is not being looked at all. It's like, oh, this is a problem, we have to stop this, send them all back. And I'm just I'm lost as to how to respond to this or what to do, but it's really taking up a lot of my headspace at the minute, because to me that's coming from this whole let's keep Europe separate. It comes from a mindset of separation, and let's keep it comes from fear. Let's keep what we've got. Oh, we can't let other people come and take this. It's not theirs. They don't belong here. And I've had this thought that if someone were to look at it from a perspective of from outer space, like another a different community out there, looking down onto planet Earth and seeing what's happening, and seeing quite seaworthy boats at the same time. Why can't you put them in a decent boat instead of making them go in these little rubber dinghies that capsize? And 300 people have drowned already this year, and I know that I would love the world to be in a place where people are more open and accepting and able to think, there but for the grace of God go I, or there but for fortune go I, whatever your belief system happens to be. But it's just so massive at the minute, and this response, which is based on, oh, well, let's just stop them and that'll deal with the problem. And the deal with Turkey is, and I'm not criticizing Turkey, but it does seem to be taking, well, actually I am criticizing Turkey, I take that back, I'm sorry, I have to be honest. They are receiving so much money per person they take back, and if this all goes well, by the end of June they'll be able to get very quick visas to visit the EU, because they're not in the EU yet and they want to be. And it's just, I'm sorry, but it's just made me so, I feel frustrated, helpless. What can I do? But I know I can only do my little bit, which is, what I'm doing in any case. But and I don't know if that's at all relevant to anything, but it's where I'm sitting today.
It's totally relevant.
Yeah.
It's relevant, and I saw one of your little a YouTube video where you were talking about that, you know.
Yeah.
We are sharing how the people in Greece who have nothing, you know, who really are in a very deprived economic situation right now, are helping those people to the best of their abilities.
Yes. Yeah.
And that actually gave me hope that there is humanity,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and in the most difficult situations, you have that rising of humanity, and it is not going to be through the politicians because that is part of an old system, and I don't have the answers either. You know, that's not. But you know, and I was seeing that Viviane was sharing something. We are part of humanity. We are part of one species.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You know, we cannot. If we the old paradigm is creating fear and separating people, and that's just the playing out of the old paradigm that we are seeing. So, and I believe that when we see those things, it helps raise consciousness and outrage in people, and that also awakens our humanity. And then what we'll do each individually about it, but I'm sure there is some stirring that will create a movement there, you know.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, there are lots of things happening, you know, at a grassroots level, as you say. Even just this last Sunday, because of all the borders being closed with Macedonia and I forget where else, but out of Greece, a lot of these people are kind of stuck in the country of Greece. And on Sunday there was a massive drive to sort of get materials to help them, just things like, you know, clothes and nappies and food and things, and it was all done in the central square in the center of Athens, and there were thousands and thousands and thousands of people going to try and help and taking what they could to help these refugees who have made it so far. They've made it from, you know, Syria or Afghanistan or Pakistan or wherever, and they've made that treacherous sea journey, and they've got to Greece, and then they can't go any further now, or with difficulty, with great difficulty. But yes, I appreciate all the comments in the chat as well. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I know Heidi has already done some interviews with people working with refugees in Berlin and somewhere is it Norway? I don't remember. But yeah, it's this. I feel empowered sitting here talking with you because it's kind of I know that you. Well, I'm guessing we all think more or less the same way, and we all have similar beliefs, and we're all concerned and want to do things. I think, you know, this is something that the history will tell. We will be tested on this. You know, we'll be judged in the future as to how we've responded. And just last night, I was fortunate. I only caught the last half of it, but there was a really good documentary on BBC television, which I know is not widely available because the BBC have their own thoughts about making things available outside of the UK. But it was two brothers, twins, doctors who've done quite a lot of response to other humanitarian disasters, you know, earthquakes and whatnot around the world, and they created this documentary, and they basically followed the refugee route and filmed it and made their comments, and it was so interesting. I missed the part that I would have liked to have seen without it, which was in Greece, and I saw the part where they were at the Macedonian border and in the awful camp there, and then with some refugees who'd made it to Germany, where they are so well organized and it's so well done, and then in Calais as well, which is just a horrible place, which has actually just been bulldozed down, some of it, by the French authorities. I mean, there's such disparity with how different countries are treating these people, and it was really brought to the fore with this documentary. I wish I could give you a link to watch it, but it's, as I say, it's a BBC documentary, so it's not. Unless you can get it on BBC World, I don't know if that's possible. But anyhow, maybe you can if you've got the right channel. Anyhow, I've forgotten what it's. I'll look it up and post.
Okay.
Yeah, what the name of it was. Yeah.
And find it, but I recall when I was in France, I had also watched a documentary on that somebody who had done the journey with the refugees, and interesting when I was in France and we talked about the news, being triggered by the news, and ever since I'm in Canada, I have not even watched the news, so I'm not really in tune anymore with all those sufferings that you are sharing. So I appreciate that you are letting us know, because this is definitely something that is happening in our space and in front of our nose. So we're not going to find a solution today on this one, but talking about it is also something that can presence awareness and eventually allow finding of solutions. That's what I believe in, and it's never happening in a linear mode. So it's kind of more we have that consciousness, the more we can address it personally and globally. Fiona, you have unmuted yourself. Would you like to talk? Oh. Fiona has disappeared. Maybe she has internet problems. Okay, who would like to? You have to leave, Viviane. I got it. Okay, I know you're also working. Okay, bye, Viviane. Okay. So Harriet, Liz, or Sandra, would you? Harriet, go ahead. You've unmuted yourself.
I'm listening in to the conversation, trying to feel the resonance in my body. What is the most important thing to express? On this Women's Day, feminine power, the true feminine power. We need to talk with that feminine power if we want to change. That is how I feel. We cannot talk from the mind. We cannot talk from the old space, because then we are trying to approach these issues from the same level as they have been created, directly from who we really are, from the feminine power coming deeply from our beings, and saying that we have to find another way. How situation is so giant, so we cannot, if we start to think about it, you get lost in your thoughts because you won't come up with a solution. I don't feel it. The solution is on another level of consciousness. But how do we approach that solution? What can it be like concretely? Also new ways of working, new ways of getting our voices heard. I'm just saying out loud, I don't have it, but I'm asking the feminine wisdom to tell us where to go and find the answers.
Yes. Yes, what is emerging for me, and this is also related to what got triggered when Aline was talking before, and she said from another level of consciousness, from outside the planet, what it looks like. And that's, I mean, this is something that I don't even know how to bring this into the space, because I've been following a lot of programs in the last year on the disclosure and on the help we are actually getting from extraterrestrial civilization that exists. So I've never really presenced this officially or said that in this circle. But I believe that there is a lot going on, and this integration we are seeing is all part of a process of waking up, creating mass awareness about the dysfunction, so that there can be so-called, depending, different people talk about it differently, but Gordon Davison uses the word the day of revelation, where there will be a transformation of the financial system, and um, bringing in the technology that already exists, but we are not which is not being shared with humans, so to say, like the unaware humans. So I just want to presence this. Right now we can have a conversation about that perhaps another time, but I think there is a lot going on in the invisible world that is not being talked about on BBC yet, even though there's glimpses of things being dropped in where, when you know what's going on, or at least you have been following the disclosure channels and this kind of stuff, then you realize how information is being dropped gradually, a little bit at a time, to prepare perhaps for those huge, humongous changes that might be happening. So, and I believe that the from what is rising globally in the consciousness is that love and light, the what my mentor Don Oscar is saying, the northeast channel, which is the feminine. That's what is rising right now, and of course it hasn't fully overtaken the old yet, but those are the times, we are really living those times, and we are witnessing them in our own, in front of ourselves in our lives. We are witnessing those things, and we are participants to it. So the more we can anchor the love energies and the compassion, and not fall back into the old of the judgment and the criticism and the hatred, the more I think that emergence will take a hold on the planet. It's because that's what I was hearing last Saturday on a program I was on with Gordon Davis, to humans. More people need to come from that love consciousness for that global mass kind of revelation to happen. So it's those disintegrating events that we see in front of our eyes that create the preparation also for a shift in consciousness. I mean, that's kind of what comes up for me, when I'm hearing you say it's the feminine power, and it is emerging. It is emerging in the world, and so
maybe the most important thing is to strengthen, because Aline, I heard you say in the beginning, what you are sending out for this Women's Day is more love. So maybe the most important work we are here to do is to increase that love energy in ourselves, and that consciousness, and sharing that compassion, so we are not giving those events any kind of, energy, any kind of we just increase the the love energy, the love, the spreading. So maybe that's the best way. That's how my intuition feels, that don't look into that evil, that darkness. Don't go there, because it has a purpose why it is happening like this, as you say. And now we see in Europe, referring to what Aline was saying, that all this selfish energy is coming up so clearly. It's made so clear. Everyone is closing their borders, and they try that, by closing them. So we can just, come on. it looks like, hey, you gotta wake up away, because it's so obvious, kinds of frauds, and it's the whole, it is showing itself now really, really clearly.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, it's magnified right now. Yeah. So and whenever the dark energies, the dysfunctional energies are feeling they are losing power, well, of course, there is a resurgence of trying to control the way it used to be. So that also is what is playing out right now. Yeah. Thank you, Harriet, for bringing that. Piece to the puzzle. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, Fiona, go ahead and unmute yourself. Yeah, I muted you before. Now you're unmuted. Go ahead.
I got quite lots coming through for me about this, and thank you so much, because it's particularly listening to Harriet, because I've been thinking of you a lot recently about the work you're doing, so I've been meaning to explore that. I'm not tuning into it. The refugee situation, I'm in the UK as well, and I'm finding the last few days the energies coming through, as I was in situations similar to yourself, Aline, getting taken back out of my wonderful space into family space, and lots of male energy there. And I was really being called to give leadership to the males around me, and my father in particular. And I found myself getting angry and wanting and literally to get out of my space, and wanting to run away, which is really a sign that it's time to call in the energies, the wonderful energies that are around me. So today I'm really being kind and compassionate to myself, and realizing as well, really, like Harriet was saying, that this is all part of the bigger transformation. And when we can hold that love when all around is, it seems crazy, it seems crazy to not have, why can these people go to Europe and have conferences all over the world in wonderful places and eat wonderful breakfasts and then have people starving and babies? It just doesn't make any sense, because all the money that they're not coming into any solutions with could just go to give them houses, and also, being able to see people's little shacks being torn down and people being tear gassed. It just doesn't, So I have been picking up on that negativity and didn't realise, because I was being a little bit, well, I'm protected and I'm loved, didn't realise it was seeping in. And I did a little meditation from Doreen Virtue this morning, and I'm just finding that the people are coming to me, the meditations, the guidance, the channeling that I'm doing myself is coming to me, and wonderful groups like this. And it really just holding and trying to do it in flow, because I could feel myself getting, I want to, I don't understand, but physically I think we are limited. It is going within, and I'm learning this from the group as well. So that was really, on a personal level, I've taken some time out, and then I'm going back to address the problems, and actually handing it up as well. But having that little bit of structure, finding more structure, and I've been feeling quite a lot of self-doubt, old patterns coming up. And then I remember I've got a meditation to do on that, so later on I'll be doing that. So that's what I wanted to share with the group, really. And I think it's really good, the fact that we talk about these things, because it brings the light to them as well. Thank you all.
Yes, and thank you, Fiona, because I can definitely resonate with what you have been saying. Giving the power to the male energies. This is also what has been happening, but that's a pattern that runs in consciousness. That's what I've observed within myself. I said, okay, this pattern, this program is still active, but noticing it is also a great opportunity to transform it within your own family structure, when you're noticing it. And that's what I've been observing in my own life, is like the fear of being taken over by the old, the way women used to be treated, at the time of my mother and beyond, and the kind of work that I've done on myself. And it's like, how can I stay true to myself, walk my path, and still be caring for the people in my family without being the doer of everybody, doing it for everybody, which is like the rescuer. That's what I kind of connected with this morning, like I've been rescuing everybody, controlling, and, like, my God, and it's like, I'm not getting anything of my stuff done when I'm doing this. So I need to shift this. And this morning, I have been totally focused on my stuff and letting the chips fall where they may, so that my husband gets the awareness and the consciousness of what needs to change about the situation, with my mother-in-law. I am not going to be the one doing it all, like I am not that daughter-in-law that does it all the way maybe people in India used to be doing it, There can be hired help and whatever. And if I am not kind of walking my talk, how is it going to change, So I can kind of hear that you had some similar troubles than I've had in the last couple of weeks, Fiona. So yes, it's empowering to be able to talk about it and kind of support each other, on bringing our feminine power through, and through that feminine power we can find solutions which are different than caregiving for everybody and just doing it because we do it better and faster, and we just know about those things and they don't, like, I mean, that was kind of my kind of chatting in the background going on for a while,
I sense as well there was a mirroring from the males around, because they can sense the energies and love coming through. So there is they can feel it, and then things are shifting around when I can be in that space of love, connected without controlling. And the more I can do that, the better.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you, Fiona. Thank you. And I don't know whether, Sandra, you would like to presence yourself in the circle? Are you still there? You need to unmute yourself if you want to talk, Sandra. Since you have your picture up, I cannot see you. I cannot see if you're raising your hand.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay.
Sandra is
Yeah, I'm in Canada, and I lost my husband about 5 weeks ago, unexpectedly. So I'm dealing with that. And when I say dealing with, I'm going to correct that, because in the last I would say about 48 hours, I've with this new energy and with the talking over the last couple of weeks actually, but especially in the last 48 hours, reading all the things going along with the new moon and this time of the year, and the planetary influences or the cosmic energies. I'm really trying to not go back into the old well-learned pattern of trying to control and reorganize my life in a controlling way of, I've got this organized, this organized, this organized. And really trying to see what the bigger picture is for me, and allowing myself to be open to be more spiritually guided. And in terms of, so that also leads to self-care. I've had a lot of discussions over the last little while about self-care. So what I have started as of yesterday is a more focused a more focused interest, or I want to say a practice, but practice is something that comes and goes kind of thing unless you really get properly entrenched in something. But a new awareness of developing a practice of a more Ayurvedic way of living and eating and taking care of myself. Because although that is something, and I will use the word control, I do need to have some aspect of my life that I can take charge of, kind of thing. That's just, I guess, the old personality rearing its head. But so coming with that, that's where I'm coming from. I'm trying to move that in a very spiritual way. Coming with that and listening to all the talk about the refugees, I try to give thanks every day that I'm in a country like Canada where, our Prime Minister has welcomed refugees and is giving them a place to live, and I forget how many thousands of people they've decided to take. Not that there aren't more. And we have had incidents where people have written things on walls and teased people about going back to where they came from, and he's come out very openly and spoken up against it and instructed the law enforcement to not tolerate it. So I feel grateful for that, and that leads me to the other piece of trying to feel grateful every day and every part of the day as I go through different things I'm looking for or trying to make sense of, and those kinds of things. I'm talking about like the legal and the financial and all those kinds of things. Just trying not to focus on what I've lost, but what I'm grateful for, what we've had, the time we've had, the space we've had, the things we've done. It might sound a little mixed up, but that's where I am.
I appreciate, Sandra, gratitude in the circle, because gratitude is something that I need to practice more of. Because you are talking about practice, and taking on a practice, and I am even enrolled myself in a class, Your Year of Miracle 2016, where we have a gratitude journal, and we're supposed to find 2 things we are grateful for every day. And believe me, I haven't even done it once, maybe a few times, So I really appreciate you reminding us that this is really like one powerful way to shift the energy that we are experiencing, whether it is, the grief and the loss of what you have experienced recently, or any negative situation in the world. When we are not being focused to it, to the lower growth, then we are contributing to elevating consciousness and to shifting. And gratitude is the prime example of how to do it. So appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you. Yes. So I know I'm looking at the time. We've been talking for about an hour already. So just wanted to invite you, if you had any closing words that you would like to share with the circle, and if not, I want to thank you for having come in numbers today. Really, I don't think we've been as many as in a long time. So really appreciate you keep on coming up to those circles, and now we're doing them bi-monthly, twice a month, on the new moon and on the full moon. So, or one day before or one day after. So. So I'm looking forward to speak to you on the full moon or the day after. And if you want to just quickly chime in and say something goodbye, you can open your mics and you can do that.
Just want to say thank you, Aileen, for having this. It's been a lovely conversation, and thank you everybody for your responses to what I said, and particularly Harriet, for reminding me that if I put my energy there, which is where it was today, in all of the negative stuff that's going on, I'm contributing to it, and I have to try and stay back and stay in the light and stay in the and everything everybody said about the light and the love and the meditation. That's what we need to do, bring the light into the planet so it can hopefully transform. And so that I'm sounding doubtful. That's not good, is it? You know what I mean?
It is transforming, you know.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It is transforming, and I think we need to hold that vision of a has moved. It cannot but transform.
Yeah.
It's already transformed on the higher planes. It's just now for us to see that manifestation on planetary cycles. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aline, for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
yes, and I would like to share the intention I wanted to bring out before the refugees came into this was joy of being a woman. So I want to finally be able to express that joy of being who I am and being the woman I am, and let's see where that takes me. So I want to share that with you, wonderful women.
Yes, I bow to that. Thank you. And Deborah, giving you the final word if you want.
I just want to thank everyone for their contributions. It just opens up more ways to think and contemplate about all of these ideas, and to know that we are so well connected around the globe that we have lots of energy that we can put into the love and the light. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Deborah. And thank you, everybody, and see you in a couple of weeks. Okay? Big hugs to all of you. Bye.